Hey, what's up, guys? Getting some more Edward in, alright? Okay, we're almost done, chapter 26. Here's where we're at. Last we left off, remember, Edward was taken to the doll mender because he got busted. And then poor little Bryce brought him in. And of course, he didn't have any money to pay the doll mender. So his only other option was, hey, here's Edward. You can have him. Please fix him. So the guy fixed him, and now he's up on a shelf. And does he want a little girl to come in and buy him? Nah, man. He's done with it. He's done with love. He doesn't want anyone to love him. He's just over it. He's had love and he's lost it so many times. He's just done. And he met remember that little doll, that like kind of bratty doll? Oh my gosh, that doll was the worst. But yeah, that doll was like, oh, no one's gonna bite you. But yeah, that doll's gone now. That doll got bought. And the last we left off, it said, and then one day at dusk, right before he closed the shop, Lucius Clark placed another doll on the shelf next to Edward. So it's probably this one. All right. So let's see what happens. There you are, milady. Meet the rabbit doll, said Lucius. The doll mender walked away, turning out the lights one by one. In the gloom of the shop, Edward could see that the doll's head, like his, had been broken and repaired. Her face was, in fact, a web of cracks. She was wearing a baby bonnet. So the little doll that's sitting next to him, that gets placed next to him, is kind of one that's like all cracked, like it's repaired, but you can tell that there's all these cracks. And they described it as a spider's web. Very cool. How do you do? She said in a high, thin voice. I am pleased to make your acquaintance. Hello, said Edward. Have you been here long? She asked. Months and months, said Edward. But I don't care. One place is the same as another to me. Oh, not for me, said the doll. I have lived 100 years, and in that time I have been in places that were heavenly and others that were horrid. Horrid means like terrible. After a time, you learn that each place is different, and you become a different doll in each place too. Quite different. 100 years, said Edward. I am old. The doll mender confirmed this. He said he was mending me that I was at least 100 years old. Edward thought about everything that had happened to him in his short life. What type of adventures would you have if you were in the world for a century? A century is 100 years. A decade is 10 years. So you could be cool and say, hey, I'll be for a decade. I've been alive for a decade. When you guys get to be 10. The old doll said, I wonder who will come for me this time. Someone will come. Someone always comes. Who will it be? I don't care if anyone comes for me, said Edward. But that's dreadful, said the old doll. There's no point in going on if you feel that way. No point at all. You must be filled with expectancy. You must be awash in hope. You must wonder who will love you, whom will love you next. Isn't it interesting? Okay, so both of these dolls, Edward and this 100-year-old doll, they kind of been through sort of the same thing. It sounds like they both have loved and lost. They've been in really great places, and then they've been in some pretty terrible places. But they both have different outlooks on it. Edward's kind of like, oh, no, I'm done. I'm not trying anymore. What's the point? The old doll is kind of different. It's kind of more optimistic, more like, hey, don't worry, maybe the next person that's going to get me is going to be good. So one's optimistic, meaning like they're looking on the bright side of things, while Edward's a pessimistic. I think I'm pronouncing it right. I could be wrong. But that's where it's like you look at all the bad things in it, All right, here we go. Sorry about all the tangents. All right. I am done with being loved, Edward told her. I am done with loving. It's too painful. Pish, said the old doll. Where is your courage? Somewhere else, I guess, said Edward. You disappoint me, she said. You disappoint me greatly. If you have no intention of loving or being loved, then the whole journey is pointless. You must as well leap from the shelf right now and let yourself shatter into a million pieces. Get it over with. Get it all over with now. I would leap if I was able to, said Edward. Shall I push you? Said the old doll. No, thank you, Edward said to her. Not that you could, he muttered to himself. What's that? Nothing, said Edward. The dark in the doll shop was now complete. The old doll and Edward sat on the shelf and stared straight ahead. You disappoint me, said the old doll. Her words made Edward think of Pellegrino, of warthogs and princesses, of listening and love, of spells and curses. What if there was somebody waiting to love him? What if there was somebody whom would love him again? Was it possible? Edward felt his heart stir. No, he told his heart, not possible, not possible. In the morning, Lucius Clark came and unlocked the shop. Good morning, my darlings, he called out to them. Good morning, my lovelies. He pulled up the shades of the windows. He turned on the lights over his tools. He switched the sign door to open. The first customer was a little girl with her father. Are you looking for something special? Lucius Clark said to them. Yes, said the girl. I'm looking for a friend. Her father put her on his shoulders, and they walked slowly around the shop. The girl studied each doll carefully. She looked Edward right in the eyes. She nodded at him. Have you decided, Natalie? Her father asked. Yes, she said. I want the one in the baby bonnet. Oh, said Lucius Clark. You know that she is very old. She's an antique. She needs me, said Natalie firmly. Next to Edward, the old doll let out a sigh. She seemed to sit up straighter. Lucius came and took her off the shelf and handed her to Natalie. And then they left. When the girl's father opened the door for the daughter and the old doll, a bright shaft of early morning light came flooding in, and Edward heard quite clearly, as if she were still sitting next to him, the old doll's voice. Open your heart, she said gently. Someone will come. Someone will come for you. But first, you must open your heart. So that little doll, that 100-year-old doll, just got purchased by this little girl, leaves, and Edward sees a little glimpse of the light as the door opens, and he's remembering what the old doll said. He's remembering it. Okay, so remember, this isn't the doll talking to him. This is him remembering her voice. The door closed. The sunlight disappeared. Someone will come. Edward's heart stirred. He thought. And when they say Edward's heart stirred, that means like the kind of love feelings are getting stirred up again, you know? Because he's so defeated, he doesn't want anything, but he's kind of getting a little hope again. The door closed. The sunlight disappeared. Someone will come. Edward's heart stirred. He thought for the first time in a long time of the house of Egypt Street and Abilene winding his watch and then bending toward him and placing it on his left leg, saying, I will come home to you. No, no, he told himself. Don't believe it. Don't let yourself believe it. But it was too late. Someone will come for you. The China rabbit's heart had begun again to open. And look, here's a picture of little Edward, all alone. But even though he's alone, he's starting to get a little hope. That little doll inspired him. Okay, guys. All right, good job. We're almost done. So make sure you're responding. Next up, chapter 27. And it looks like we got an umbrella. I wonder what's up with that. Well, we'll see. All right, guys, respond to Google Classroom, and I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.